Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. This time, we're going deep on the Verus protocol, figuring out what makes it tick and how it empowers anyone to build dApps at scale. So, to get there, we've got a technical overview of Verus and a guide to launching currencies on the platform. I think we're in for some serious aha moments with this one. This tech is pretty groundbreaking from what I've seen so far.
Yeah, Verus definitely has an interesting origin story. You could even say it's a little unconventional.
Oh, okay. Now you've got me hooked. Lay it on me.
Okay, so picture this. May 21st, 2018, an announcement pops up on BitcoinTalk out of the blue. Verus protocol is going live. And get this, it's happening in 15 minutes.
Whoa, hold on. No ICO, no premine.
Nope, none of that. No special treatment for developers either, just a straight-up fair launch, kind of like Bitcoin itself.
Wow, that's a powerful statement. It really shows their dedication to fairness and community ownership right from the start.
Exactly. This whole rent-free philosophy where no one's profiting from the protocol itself, it's a core part of Verus.
So it's truly a platform built for everyone.
Yeah.
I can see why you said their origin story was unconventional. So they launched with a clean slate and this emphasis on community. What happened next?
Well, the community jumped right on board. They loved the vision. A vision paper was published the next month. It outlined their goals, principles, all of that. And they actually managed to accomplish every single thing they set out to do. By October 2023, Verus Public Blockchains as a Service, or PBaaS, was a reality.
PBaaS, huh? Okay, we've got to dig into that. But first, you mentioned that Verus takes a different approach when it comes to scaling, right? Most blockchains focus on increasing transactions per second on a single chain. But Verus does something different.
Yeah, that's right. Verus scales out instead of up. Think of it like the internet. You don't have one giant computer handling everything. It's a network of servers all connected together. Verus uses that same distributed approach, but for blockchain.
Ah, so instead of one massive chain that can get bogged down, it's more like a network of chains all working together.
Exactly. Now, the Verus main blockchain can handle a good number of transactions per second on its own. But then each PBaaS chain, and you can create as many as you need, they can handle a whole lot of traffic themselves. It all depends on how you configure them.
So let's say someone needs to process, I don't know, thousands of transactions per second for their dApp.
Easy. They just spin up more PBaaS chains, no theoretical limit. And since they're all interoperable, they can talk to each other and transact without any hiccups.
All right, that's pretty impressive. But we can't talk blockchain without talking security, right? So how's Verus keeping things safe in this network of chains?
Security is definitely a top priority for Verus. They use a hybrid consensus mechanism called proof of power. It combines elements of both proof of work and proof of stake.
A hybrid approach. I'm curious, what are the security benefits of combining those two?
Well, if someone wanted to attack the network, they'd need to control most of the hashing power for proof of work. And they'd need to control most of the staked currency for proof of stake. It creates a really high barrier for attackers. Makes Verus provably resistant to those 51% attacks that you hear about.
So it's like a double layer of protection. Interesting. Now, you mentioned something called smart transactions. I thought smart contracts were the go-to for adding functionality to blockchains.
That's a good question. While smart contracts are popular, they do have their downsides. The code for them runs directly on the blockchain. So if there's a bug or vulnerability in the code, hackers can, exploit it.
Oh, I see. So it's like a program with a flaw that a hacker can abuse.
Exactly. Verus sidesteps that whole issue with smart transactions. Instead of running code on the blockchain, all the protocol features are validated and tracked by the miners and stakers.
That's pretty clever, like a built-in system of checks and balances. But what does that mean for the user experience?
Well, because the protocol is secure by design, users don't have to deal with those complicated wallet approvals that you see on other platforms.
Yeah. Those can definitely be a pain.
And sometimes even a security risk, since you're giving a smart contract permission to use your funds.
Okay, so Verus puts security first, which in turn makes it more user-friendly. Got it. So I'm starting to see why this is such a big deal. But for a developer, how expensive is it to actually build on Verus?
This is where it gets really interesting. Remember how we talked about Verus being rent-free? Well, that means there's no central entity taking a cut or charging high fees.
So the transaction fees just go directly to the miners and stakers who keep the network running.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. But what about the learning curve? Do developers need to learn a whole new language to build on Verus?
Nope, that's another advantage. They can use familiar frameworks and languages that they already know.
Okay, that makes things a lot easier for them. So how do they interact with the network?
They use things like QR codes and deep links that connect to the user's client-side wallet.
No more of those clunky multi-step approval processes.
Exactly. And here's another bonus. Verus uses ZK Snarks, which is top-of-the-line tech for privacy and anonymity.
Privacy is always a hot topic, especially these days. So for those of us who don't know, how do CK snarks work?
Basically, it lets you prove that something's true without revealing the actual data. It's like saying, I can prove I'm over 21 without showing you my ID.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
So with Verus, you get private transactions and secure data exchange.
All built into the protocol. Wow, I'm already pretty impressed, and I have a feeling we've only scratched the surface of what Verus can do.
Oh, you're definitely right about that. We haven't even touched on Verisi, their approach to decentralized identity, or the fact that you can launch your own blockchains and even currencies on Verus, and you don't even need to code to do it. So let's talk Veracity. It's not just, a digital ID. It's a whole system for decentralized self-sovereign identity. Think of it like a digital passport for the decentralized world, but way more powerful and flexible.
Okay, that sounds super useful. Our digital identities are only becoming more important these days. But what does self-sovereign actually mean in this context?
Basically, it means you, and only you, control your Veracity and all the data that goes with it. There's no central authority calling the shots or holding your info hostage. You decide what to share and who you share it with.
So I'm in complete control. That's a nice change of pace. It seems like we're constantly handing over our data to good companies online. What are some of the practical benefits of having that control?
Well, first off, no more worrying about data breaches or companies selling your info without your permission. You're in charge, which makes it a lot harder for bad actors to mess with your privacy.
That peace of mind is huge.
Mhm.
But how does Verify work with dApps? Does it change how we use them?
Imagine logging into any dApp with just your Veracide. No more remembering a million passwords or worrying about phishing scams.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Since your Veracity is truly yours, it's a much safer way to manage your online identity.
Okay, now that's what I call a game changer. So Verified is like a universal key, unlocking a seamless and secure experience across the whole Verus ecosystem. But it's got to be more than just logins, right? What else can Verify do?
Oh, it goes way beyond that. With Veracity, you can send private messages directly through the blockchain, do multi-sig transactions, even link a private address to your ID for totally anonymous transactions.
Wow, that's a lot of functionality. It's like the Swiss Army knife of digital identity. All right, so far, color me impressed. But let's switch gears for a sec and talk about launching blockchains. You mentioned that Verus lets users create their own blockchains. That sounds incredibly powerful, but also really complicated.
It might sound intimidating, but Verus has made it surprisingly easy. Remember those PBaaS chains we talked about? You can launch one specifically for your dApp or your organization, and it inherits all the security, scalability, and privacy of the Verus main chain.
So it's like getting a custom-made blockchain, but it's already built and ready to go.
Exactly. And the best part is, you get to set the rules. You define how it works, the parameters, even the fees.
So it's like having your own private blockchain,
Mm-hmm.
but with the added bonus of being part of the Verus network.
Precisely. It's the perfect blend of independence and interoperability.
Okay, I'm seeing the appeal. What are some of the advantages of having a dedicated PBaaS chain for your dApp?
For one, it gives you a level of control and customization you wouldn't have on a shared blockchain. You can really tailor it to your specific needs and make sure it runs exactly how you want.
Makes sense.
Plus, you don't have to compete with other dApps for resources or worry about congestion on the main chain.
Right, that makes sense. You also mentioned launching currencies. How does that work on Verus?
It's actually a lot simpler than you might think. If you need a way to, represent value or track transactions within your dApp, you can create your own currency.
So instead of using an existing cryptocurrency, I could create a token specifically for my application.
Exactly. It could be a community currency or tokens representing ownership of assets. You could even create a bridge to Ethereum using ERC20 tokens.
Wow, the possibilities are endless. It sounds like Verus is giving developers the tools to build entire economies within their dApps. That's pretty mind-blowing. But let's bring it back to DeFi. What does Verus bring to the table there?
Verus DeFi is, well, it's unlike anything you've seen on other platforms. Remember how we talked about everything in Verus being built at the protocol level?
Yeah, you mentioned that a few times.
Well, that includes DeFi. It's not some layer 2 solution or built on top of smart contracts. DeFi is baked right into the Verus blockchain.
So it's not just an afterthought, it's a core part of the system.
Exactly, and that comes with some serious advantages. First off, the costs are super low. You just pay a regular transaction fee plus a tiny conversion fee, way cheaper than the gas fees you see on other platforms.
Both fees are always a good thing,
Yeah.
especially with DeFi. But security is just as important, right?
Yeah.
Maybe even more so.
Absolutely. Verus DeFi has the same level of security as any other Verus transaction. There's no smart contract risk because it's all handled at the protocol level. Plus, Verus is designed to be MEV resistant.
Now, you've mentioned MEV a couple of times. What is that exactly?
MEV stands for miner extractable value. It's basically a way for miners on some blockchains to manipulate transactions and make extra profit, often at the expense of regular users.
So kind of like insider trading, but for blockchain.
Yeah, you could say that.
That doesn't sound good at all. So how does Verus stop it from happening?
Well, because Verus solves all transactions in a block at the same time. There's no opportunity for things like front-running, back-running, or sandwich attacks. Those are the tactics MEV exploiters use.
Oh, okay.
This makes sure everyone gets fair and transparent prices. No one's getting cheated.
That's a huge relief.
Yeah.
So Verus DeFi is low cost, secure, and MEV resistant. It's a pretty compelling package. But before we wrap up, there's one more thing we need to talk about. On-chain storage and this VDXS system you mentioned earlier.
Oh, right. We can't forget about those. Verus storage lets you store data directly on the blockchain. It's kind of like a decentralized hard drive, tamper-proof and accessible from anywhere.
Well, that's pretty cool. What kind of data are we talking about? Is it just text? Or can you store other files too?
Oh, you can store all sorts of stuff. Text, images, documents, videos, even software. It's a secure and permanent way to keep your important info safe. And you can control who has access to it with, encryption, permissions, and all that.
So it's like a personal data vault.
Yeah.
But it's built right into the blockchain. That's a game changer for data management. So where does VDXF come in? You mentioned it earlier as a way to define and exchange data, right?
Yeah, so VDXF stands for Verus Data Exchange Format. It lets developers define globally unique data types and then share references to that data across different dApps.
So it's kind of like a universal language for data on the Verus network.
Exactly. It ensures that different applications can understand and share info with each other.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's all about building a more interconnected and collaborative ecosystem.
And since it's built on Verus EID, it inherits all those security and decentralization benefits. Wow, I'm really starting to see the big picture here. Verus isn't just another blockchain, it's like a whole new foundation for a decentralized internet.
It's definitely ambitious.
It is, but what's really impressive is that they're actually making it happen. Verus is live,
Yeah.
and developers are already building on it.
That's what's so exciting about it. It's not just a theory, it's real.
Exactly, it's happening right now. So, as we wrap up this deep dive into Verus protocol, what are the key takeaways for our listeners? Why should they care about Verus?
Verus is all about giving power back to individuals and communities. It's about taking control of your digital life. It's a platform for innovation, for collaboration, for building a more fair and decentralized internet. If you believe in the power of blockchain to change the world, then you need to check out Verus.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's been an amazing journey, and I encourage everyone listening to learn more about Verus. Go to their website, read their docs, join their community. You might be surprised by what you find.
Definitely. The Verus community is super welcoming and helpful. They have tons of resources to get you started, and they're always happy to share their knowledge and passion.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive into Verus protocol.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the world of decentralization.